Hello, everyone. Welcome to another podcast. Today we have a very, very, very special guest, Sarah Hawley. She's our lead recruiter here at Kbex Global. Figured we'd have Sarah on. She's one of the best, or probably the best recruiter I've ever worked with, indirectly or directly. And she's always in the job market. I mean, everyone listening, I hope you know what a recruiter is at this point, but they are the ones who go out and find people for jobs, whether it's the company they work for or another company when you're on the staffing side. So definitely consider Sarah an expert in all things hiring from the start of the conversation to an offer. And today's topic is things that we see on LinkedIn. Sarah and myself talk a lot about what we see on LinkedIn, and it's just really fun kind of side conversations because there's some interesting things out there that I would personally consider clickbait. So today, as true recruiters and in the industry, we're going to tell you our thoughts on some things we see on LinkedIn because some of it very interesting. So if you are looking for a job and you're following these content creators that say that they're job experts, just be careful. But here, hopefully you'll find some insight on what to believe, what not to believe kind of thing. So I'll let Sarah do a brief intro of herself. I know I kind of did one for her, but
Yeah, so I'm Sarah. As Kaylin mentioned, I work alongside her at Kbex. I've been here for almost 4 years. And yeah, I truly love recruiting. And like Kaylin said, it's an interesting field, I would say. We see so much and it is hard to know like what's right, what's wrong. And they're really, I think, like tough decisions too to follow, like what is right and what's wrong. Because I mean, your career kind of depends on some of these things you are reading about. But yeah.
cool. All right. Well, we're going to first start with like a true and false. So I'm going to give Sarah kind of list of things that I commonly see on LinkedIn, and she's going to say true or false. And then after we'll deep dive into them. All right. You ready?
Ready.
Okay. True or false? The green banner, the open to work banner, looks bad and recruiters frown upon this.
False.
Okay. Job hopping is great and the best way to make money fast.
False.
Talking salary before the conversation interview starts.
True.
Don't share your salary expectations at all.
100% false.
Have to have a perfect resume.
False.
Need to use LinkedIn features like getting endorsements and engaging with content to get noticed more by recruiters.
False.
Networking on LinkedIn is one of the top 3 things that will land you a job.
False.
Looking for a job is a full-time job. I guess not literally, but
Could be true.
long interviews usually mean it was a really good interview.
False.
Something upsets you at work, you should quit and just search for something else.
False.
Use a cover letter for job applications.
False.
Your boss should know your value. Leave if they don't see it. It's their loss.
False.
Email the hiring manager and recruiters for constant updates and to further sell yourself.
True. But I think there's like points to it.
Email the hiring manager directly, aka go around the recruiter.
False.
Recruiters may bypass you if you've been laid off. Layoffs are frowned upon recruiters.
False.
Create a personal website or portfolio.
False.
I'll say if you're not in marketing, what would you think?
Yeah.
So hopefully that helped you guys out a bit. We'll dive into them now a little bit. So why don't you frown upon a green banner on someone's LinkedIn? Or do you ever? Have you one time seen a green banner and been like,
No. Honestly, I think I'm more likely to reach out. It means you're looking for work, and that's what we're looking for is candidates that are looking for work and want to speak. So I don't see anything wrong with it. I think though it can be interesting if you have it. I have seen this a lot, like open to work, and then they're just never open to work. They have it there that they are. You reach out, and I've had like great candidates. They look great. I would love to speak with them, and then they constantly say, "I'm not actually open to work." That can get to a red flag to the point where I just like won't reach out to you again. So I think sometimes it can be misused, but
yeah. Do you think that people don't know they have it still as open to work? Or do you think, like, why would someone have that and not be open to work? Like, what do you think?
I think sometimes people think they put it there or they say that they're open to work just to kind of see what's in the market.
Yeah.
Which is fine to an extent, but when you're turning down every opportunity and you just are replying back like, what's the salary? It'll get to a point, I think, where recruiters will just stop reaching out to you.
Yeah. Like if you want to look at the market, there's so many other ways
Oh,
to
yeah.
go see that. There's reports.
Mm,
I know, I don't know if LinkedIn still has this, but there used to be LinkedIn Salary.
yeah.
There's just other ways to do it. Maybe you could even call into a staffing firm and be like,
Mhm.
"Hey, this is how much I'm making or looking for. I see that you specialize in this. Like, what is this role going for right now?" Like people will tell you.
Oh, yeah.
And I would go for like a niche staffing firm. Like if you're a developer, go to an IT staffing firm that hires developers, or just go to the jobs. Like a lot of people post the salaries now on their jobs. In some states, it's required.
Yeah.
So it's way more obtainable now to actually find that. Don't waste recruiters' time. You're just hindering that person who actually is looking for a job.
Yeah.
So job hopping, this one just kills me. Job hopping is great and the best way to make money fast. So what are your thoughts on job hopping? This one is such a topic.
It actually is really interesting. I think about it all the time because a lot of candidates, it doesn't make me not reach out to you. Like, if you have good experience, of course, I'm going to reach out to you no matter what. But when I have you on the phone and you're telling me, I just wanted more money, I just wanted more money, I just wanted more money, and then you have nothing to speak about of your experience, like there's no story to tell. I think that's something people forget is they go into a position, they're like, mindset is, let me be here for a year so I can go somewhere else and make more money. But what did you accomplish within the year? And also, like, maybe you're not making more money in your current position because you've only been there a year. I think there's this mindset where you have to have these big raises every single year, or you should be making this crazy amount of money, which it isn't realistic within especially the first couple years of your career. And job hopping every couple years isn't, I don't think it's going to get you there. You're also not going to
Yeah.
build a good foundation of experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think your skill set, it's like maybe you can get to money faster than someone who stays in their first job.
Yeah.
Like you move, move, move. Okay. Your first job, you're making, say, 50K. You move 3 times. Now you're making 70, but your skill set hasn't advanced.
Mm-mm.
And what I foresee, I guess, with the job hopping culture, if it does kind of become a culture,
Mhm.
companies are going to look at someone as, oh, you're a 2-year hire.
Oh, yeah.
Like that is what you're going to be looked at if you continue to job hop. Then people will only hire you for the skill set you bring because they're not going to want to invest in training because training is very expensive.
Yeah.
And I know it's not all about money, but sometimes it is for for a business when they're investing in new talent.
Oh, yeah.
And then when the market gets really tough, like it is now,
Yeah.
because you're the new person, now you're at the bottom compared to people who've been in a longevity role. And not always. Some people like job hopping if you can sell it correctly
Yeah.
because you have diverse experience, you've done all these different things. So it can help you in some degree, but I think it's how you deliver it in an interview in a way. I don't know. Do you agree or disagree?
Oh, absolutely. I think too, the other thing is people think like I have to go to another company after a year or two to get more money before even going to their first company on like, am I actually successful in this role? What more could I take on? Like, how could I challenge myself in this role? I think they just think like a company needs to just hand you money because you've been there a year, but are you being productive? Are you trying to challenge yourself?
Yeah. Are you adding value? Or you that's another one that kind of correlates to it. Where is it? I can't see it right now. But basically, if your boss doesn't see your value, like move on,
Yeah.
which to some degree, sure, but are you presenting your value to
Right.
your hiring manager? Yes, I think to a certain degree, your leader should see your value for sure and recognize that. But whenever someone says, well, I left that company because my company didn't see my value. And I'm like, well, why do you think that is? And like, well, they never promoted me or gave me a raise in a couple of years. Like, well, did you ask for it? Did you go into your reviews telling them what value you've brought and what you've wanted out of your career? Like, did you ever tell them that you wanted more money or you wanted that promotion? And every single time it was no. It's kind of a partnership thing.
Absolutely.
And if you don't mention it, like you probably won't get it. But
I
anyway.
also think a good point to that, right, is I think sometimes people think it's easier to leave that job than have that more confrontational conversation.
Yeah,
Yeah. Which
that's so
it shouldn't
true.
be. Yeah. And I think too, like at the end of the day, you have that conversation, and if they're not responding appropriately or how you were hoping, then maybe sure you can then go and say this isn't a good fit. But at least I had that conversation.
Yeah, exactly. So have that conversation. It'll give you closure and you may get what you want.
Mhm.
And compare yourself. That was the thing I read before from like a data perspective. Like, here's what I've done, whereas everyone else on the team has done this. Like, you almost have to lay it out for them. And then I think there's some type of like emotional thing or mindset. That person has drive, the person has motivation, they want it. And if you want it, you're going to get it more than the person who isn't saying anything, that does their job, goes home, doesn't say anything. Whereas your colleague's probably doing a little bit more and pushing for it. So get there first and you'll see that promotion, hopefully, obviously not all the time.
Yeah.
So have the perfect resume. I see this a lot on LinkedIn where people are like, tailor your resume to every job application, apply a ton. What do you think about that? One girl I saw, she had 375 different resumes. 375.
No. Here's the thing, I feel strongly about this. I think you should have a good resume. Maybe, I guess, if you're senior level, sure, that you could tailor it if you have such a wide amount of experience. But I think what's more important than having a great resume is being able to speak to your resume. I think that's
Yeah.
where a lot of people are like, I have such a good resume. I'm applying everywhere and I can't get past a first phone call, but my resume is so good. I guess it's like, where's the reflection of why aren't you getting past the first phone call? A lot of it I see is, here's a really good resume. You get on a call, you ask questions about their experience or what they have on there, and they can't speak to it whatsoever. So I think
Hmm.
it's way more important, have a good resume, but then be able to speak to your resume.
Yeah. Yeah. And when you say be able to speak to your resume, can you give an example?
Yeah, like if someone has, let's say, like some percentage or data on KPIs hit, metrics hit, and you ask, what were those, or how did you hit them, and they have no idea. I've had that so many times; they just can't speak to it. But you see everyone saying, put data on your resume, have numbers, so they do it thinking, okay, this will get me in the door, which it's a good positive thing. Yes, have those things, but then they really don't know if they did that, or they can't speak to it, or maybe they didn't even do it.
Wow. I wonder if that has something to do with ChatGPT too. Because when I was on LinkedIn, I saw someone say, and it was what she said, I agree with, but I think people are missing the second step to her advice. She says, use ChatGPT and say, add like
Mhm.
quantifiable, things in my resume, add data basically. But then she goes back and then she says, but go back and put in your actual numbers. And
Yes.
I think people may see it pump out numbers like, that sounds good, pace, and they're in desperate mode, but then they have to speak to it. And yeah, and I think you make a good point when you mention the first interview. So
Yeah.
people are like can't make it past the first interview. That is a number one sign you can't speak to your resume.
Yeah,
Because
100%.
there's a lot of people who say, I can't make it past the final interview. I'm getting to finals, but I'm not getting that offer. That to me, it's just unlucky. Like if
Unlucky.
you made it that far, you're doing well. And multiple times, it's just like you just got unlucky. Like there don't think that would be any type of red flag in what you're
Mhm.
saying or doing. It's just, man, that's just unlucky and you'll get one soon. Do you
Yeah,
agree with that or
1000%.
oh yeah, I saw this one so much. You need to use LinkedIn features like getting endorsements and engaging with content.
So endorsements, I don't look at.
I don't either.
Sorry, I
I
don't
don't either. I never look at
look
that.
at it. Maybe when it is between like two candidates, and you're going back and forth with the hiring manager, they're really stuck, and you're looking at, like references, and you're going through their LinkedIn to see if there been endorsements, has there been any reviews. Sure, at that point, but if it's just getting an interview, that first initial call with a recruiter, no. And I think the engaging with content, like from a recruiter standpoint, I think it can be beneficial for networking, and maybe you're engaging with a hiring manager and you're building a meaningful relationship with them. But from a recruiter standpoint, I'm not going through like your feed to see what
Mm.
content you're engaging with. If you have the good experience, good resume, I'm gonna reach out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. I never really see what they post. I mean, unless it comes up on my feed and I'm like,
sure.
oh, they posted that. I think the best thing if you're looking for work is to be open to work on LinkedIn. I mean, you are going
Yes.
to get blown up, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're looking for work, you kind of want to get blown up, right?
Yes.
You want those options. Yeah, I thought that one was interesting. And I think almost like to me personally, but I'm like not big on social media. A lot of times I see 5,000 applications. I've done this many interviews, no callbacks. What do you think of like about people sharing that? What does that look like on a recruiter standpoint?
Yeah. Again, I mean, I don't know if I see it as much unless obviously it comes up on my feed, but I think that there you could if you're curious about what the market's like because you've been through 5,000 applications or 500 interviews and you're not getting anything, maybe reach out to people you've in your network privately that you trust or you've built a good relationship with, or with an agency even, since they know the market so well.
Mhm.
I think that's better than just posting it just because.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
to, like, vent about it. Looking for a job as a full-time job. I have talked to people on the phone when they've had, they're out of work for 6 months,
Oh,
and
yeah.
my question is, "What have you been doing for 6 months?" So what do you wanna hear as a recruiter, Sarah, when someone's been out of work for 6 months and you ask them? Because 'Cause I've heard, "Oh, I've been applying, that's a full-time job." Like, what do you think about that, and what do you want to hear?
I think it can be. I think 6 months of it, it's hard to say, like, I think in the beginning, right, like, you're getting your resume ready, you're mass applying. I mean, this market, as we know, I think it's been pretty terrible for the candidate side. I mean, you are competing against so many people right now. So I think, yeah, I mean, if you're applying to, some people say they're applying to, like, 300 jobs a day. Or I have talked to people that are in, like, 5 to 7 interviews a day for multiple days a week. I mean, that's a lot.
Wow.
But if you're only, like, applying here or there and then, like, maybe an interview every other week, not not a full-time job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's the follow-up question I have when they say, "Oh, it's been a full-time job." I'm like, "Oh, well, how many interviews are you having a week?" And they're like, "Well, I haven't had any interviews." And I'm
Yeah.
like, "So for 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week, which is a full-time job, you're telling me you've just been applying for
Right.
6 months and you've gotten nothing." Like, that's a red flag, even in a tough market. To me, it says, I'm applying to the jobs that I'm not a fit for.
Yes.
Um like trying to do a skill on LinkedIn, like, "Oh, I've been learning Spanish."
Yes.
Even if it has nothing to do with a job, at least you're just trying to, like, build yourself, have something to do. Like, as long as you're doing something.
I agree with that. It would even be better to, like, I'm applying to all of these, I'm not getting any, instead of saying, like, I'm desperate for just something and I can't get it. Maybe you're
Mhm.
being more picky for the right role because you haven't had work, or, like you said, continuing your knowledge or skill set.
Yeah, yeah. Or you're just someone said that took a 3-month break, I didn't apply at all, and now I'm applying, and it's like, "Okay,
Yes,
well,
yeah.
fine." I see that on LinkedIn too. "Oh, it's frowned upon if you, like, take 3 months off to travel." I don't know one recruiter that
No.
frowns upon that. I think we all envy it.
Yes.
"Where'd you go?" Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like, I mean, I've even hired people that took a year off to travel.
Yeah.
And my hiring manager's like, "Cool,
Yes.
like, as long as you can still speak to your experience."
Yeah.
I saw this recently on LinkedIn, which was new. The hashtag desperate for people who just been out of a job for a
Mhm.
while. What do you think about that? Like, hashtag
Yeah.
desperate.
I haven't seen it.
You
Uh,
haven't?
I haven't. Is it a lot?
I mean, when I was just searching, people were doing that, and then I searched hashtag desperate, and a lot of stuff came up, and they're like, that's when I saw a lot of been applying forever, and yeah, I've seen people use it.
I think the first thing when I hear that would be a major red flag for me. Like, be hashtag open to work, cool.
Yeah, yeah.
But desperate, the reason for it is because I'll talk to candidates and I'll ask, like, for job hopping, to say, like, why'd you leave that job? And there's always gonna be that the one time you take that job because you're desperate, and they always say, well, I was desperate, I took whatever I could get, and now I'm searching for my perfect position. Like, if that's the case, I'm not passing on you because of that. But if you're
Mhm.
putting it out there, like, I'm desperate for a job, I'm gonna be thinking in the back of my head, well, they're gonna take this, but then they're gonna be still looking for the perfect job.
Yeah, true. That's a good point. And I think open to work is more of a recruiter term anyway. That doesn't have any negative aspect on it.
No, no.
So stick to open to work. I wouldn't do hashtag desperate. So networking on LinkedIn is one of the top 3 things that will land you a job. I see that a lot. Network, reach out to people and like join these groups and da 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 da. And a lot of people focus on networking just as much as they do applying to jobs. What do you think about that? I can't remember if you said true or false to that one.
I honestly can't either. It could go either way, right? Like, the
Yeah.
network is very important, and sure, like, you can land a job because of your network. I do believe that, but I don't think it's, like, the main reason.
You
Um,
think it's even in the top 3?
I no, see, I definitely don't think it'd be in the top 3. Like, get a good resume, focus on being able to talk about your experience, be applying to the right positions, that fit your experience, and I think that's what's gonna get you a job.
Yeah,
Yeah.
agree. And if you're networking, network with people you've worked with before, like
Yeah.
someone that actually knows you.
Yes.
So like you said, apply for jobs that are open and that you're actually qualified for. I feel like a lot of people who are like, I've applied to 400 jobs, haven't heard back yet. I feel like they're trying to apply to jobs that are that next step up for them. Like maybe they're, say, a call center rep and they want to be a call center manager. And I hate saying this. I'm not saying don't shoot for those. Definitely apply to those, but make sure if you are desperate for work or really need a job, start applying for things that you've done before and
Yeah.
that really do tailor to your resume. And if you are really interested in the industry that you're not in, and you're a little off, but you really want that job and you're just very confident, I'd say like reach out to the hiring manager, like a phone call, not an email, not a LinkedIn message. They have a million a day. I say like actually call them, leave a voicemail or something. You can pay, I think for white pages, what it's like $5 a month and you can find
Yeah.
people's phone numbers. Like there's cheap ways to find people's phone numbers. Call the company and there's usually like dial by name directories. I guess that goes, I mean, we did say so. It says one of the ones was email the hiring manager or recruiters for constant updates. Because I see on LinkedIn, oh, recruiters just get ghosted, ghosted, ghosted. I always wonder what that means. Like, okay, ghosted as in like you reached out and they're just ignoring you, or
Mhm.
you interviewed and haven't heard back and didn't do anything about that. What do you think when people say, oh, I've been ghosted? And what do they do if someone feels that they're being ghosted?
Yeah, I think it's usually because I think they usually mean they maybe interviewed, had a conversation, and just never heard back. I think you should definitely follow up if you haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
I
How
think
often should you follow up? Should you call, email, text?
I wouldn't be like emailing every day. I wouldn't be calling the person every day. I would at least follow up and try to get feedback. If you aren't hearing back, then I mean, after that, I mean, they obviously saw it, then that's, I mean, shame on them. But sometimes they just do get missed, which I mean, you hate to see. But like you said, I mean, sometimes you're talking to hundreds of people for a position, and I think sometimes a lot of people will have that first phone screen and kind of get told on that they're probably not moving forward, but then they still think
Mhm.
they need feedback or they got ghosted when they already were kind of told, "Hey, we're not moving forward." I think that I see that a lot as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Like give them a timeline. And if you're a candidate, ask for a timeline.
Yeah.
If they're like, "Oh, no update," be like, "Okay, well, when is a good time to touch base with you again?"
Yes.
And then that way you have them agreeing to when you call because everyone's different. Some people don't mind being called every day.
Yeah.
Like, whatever. Just ask for a timeline. When's the best time? When do you think I'll hear back by? Just ask, and then you won't be ghosted. And if you get ghosted then yeah, shame on the recruiter because your recruiter said, "Call me in 7 days," and didn't call you back in 7 days.
Yeah.
So going around the recruiter, why shouldn't a candidate go around the recruiter and reach out to the hiring manager directly? And we're not talking about when you apply. We're talking about you had an interview and then now you want to kind of bypass the recruiter, whether it's an internal recruiter that works directly for the company you're interviewing with or a staffing recruiter like us, that's a third party helping out that company. Why shouldn't they?
Well, one, I mean, I honestly, I just think it is rude. I mean, I think everyone knows like that's the process, and I think most recruiters pretty much lay that out. Like they are your point of contact. That is one of the purposes of their job, right? Is coordinating it all. So I think going around it is it is rude. I also think it's not really the hiring managers. Again, it's not their job. They have so much other stuff they're managing. This is what the recruiter's supposed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I've seen it before where it backfired on the candidate, especially from the staffing side. Obviously, internal recruiters have great relationships with their hiring managers. A lot of times, like there's a relationship there. And I've had candidates lose the job or not really have it at the offer stage. Well, sometimes, but because they went around me and my hiring manager would call me like, hey, they just tried to go around you. I don't like that. It shows that they don't follow process. Why would we want them on our team if they can't follow a process?
Yeah, that's a good point.
And obviously, some people like if they don't know, but I think it's pretty obvious to the recruiter and hiring manager when you don't know and when you do know. There's cues there and context, but yeah, don't go around the recruiter. The recruiter is your best bet. And if you want to reach out to the hiring manager directly, ask the recruiter. We can pass a message to them. You can CC us. Like some people don't care, but kind of just get that permission first. And that way, when you reach out to the hiring manager, you can say, hey, I talked to Sarah at Kbex. She mentioned I could shoot you a quick message or give you a call. Like that looks so much more professional
So much.
than trying to go around, and then the hiring manager being weirded out, the recruiter being weirded out. So don't go around the recruiters or the hiring managers. Recruiters bypass you if you've been laid off. Layoffs are frowned upon.
No.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
again, I think that kind of is the same as the open to work. Like, we want to talk to you. You're open to work. We want to speak. We want to help you.
Yeah, I didn't get that one either. They're like, "Oh, I know." I mean, I've talked to candidates like, "Oh, I know it's frowned upon. I got laid off, and I got laid off 2 times, and I promise it wasn't me." And it's like, "No, it's fine." I've never met a recruiter either that has been like, "Oh, they were laid off. I don't want to talk to them. That looks really bad." Especially recruiters. Recruiters probably been laid off more than any role in
Yeah.
ever, especially since COVID. I mean,
I actually appreciate like when they put it on their resume, like layoff,
yeah.
contract. I mean, I don't see any negative with it.
Yeah, I don't see negative with contract either. I've seen that as well.
Yes, I know.
I don't
Mm-mm.
see that. I mean, I think that's more impressive. It's a lot harder to get fired from a full-time role than it is a contract. Contract, you mess up once, you're cut. I
Yeah.
mean, like generally speaking, it's way easier. Full-time is a lot more legal to it. So if you're a contractor and you've been able to do 5 contracts in full, like right on, that a lot of people can't say they've done that.
Mm-mm. I noticed too is like you said, they're usually doing projects, and I have a lot of experience to speak upon in such a short amount of time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't see any negative with it.
I don't either. Like you're good with your time, and I think there's a lot of unique things that come from contract. What was another one? Oh, long interviews usually mean it was a good interview.
Mhm. I feel like a lot of times when that happens, it's like the person was just like over talking. They weren't even answering the questions, or a hiring manager was just kind of sitting there waiting for it to end. Honestly,
Yeah, that's what I've seen mostly. What would be your tip though? If someone leaves the interview is like, wow, that was long. How could they reflect on that and know that if it was a good long or a bad long?
I mean, really, I guess thinking back on like what were the questions, what points did you get across? I think it was you that had told me you had seen this question was like, what was something you wish came up in this interview? Which I think is actually a good reflection. Like, how
Yeah.
many things can you think of that didn't come up that probably should have? Uh,
Yeah. I like that question too. It makes you really think.
it really does.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then it shows if you prepared too. And how did it leave off? Like,
Yeah.
I have a meeting, I gotta go, or this was great. I can't wait to see you next week.
Or
Like,
like, how many times did the person who was interviewing have to repeat a question maybe because you didn't answer it and you just didn't notice you were just talking about random things?
yeah, how long
Um,
did you answer for? In other episodes, we talk about that a lot. Record, like, practice the interview and record yourself. I mean, even on these podcasts, sometimes like I'm rambling on. It's a very human nature to do
yes.
when you're nervous in a unique situation. But that's what the reason why hiring managers always ask, tell me about yourself as the first question, because your nerves are at your peak and you're just going to talk forever. And then you probably just lost that opportunity, which is so unfortunate. Something upsets you at work, quit and find something else. I see that all the time. Like people just motivating each other on LinkedIn, like, you didn't like that, you leave, you deserve better. And like, which is nice to have like that
Hmm.
community to support you and stuff. But I feel like it's a wrong support. Like, I don't know. What do you think?
No job is going to be sunshine and flowers every day. Like, it's not going to be perfect. Like, there's going to be challenges. Um, I actually think it's interesting because there's a good question too. I think a lot of people struggle with is like, tell me about a time you faced a challenge or a challenging conversation. And they're like, well, I've never experienced that. And it's usually because something maybe like that happened. You didn't want the confrontation and you left. But
Hmm.
it's just it is a part of life. I think it's a good skill set. But again, I mean, if it's like a toxic place and you're having tons of challenges, sure, like maybe it is time to
Yeah.
leave, but don't just leave because you don't like something at work.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Or kind of going back to that like promotion raise thing, job hopping, have the conversation. If something upset you, maybe that person didn't realize what they said
Yeah.
or did upset you, or that rule that they just made upset you. I mean, I've had to go to my boss in previous roles plenty of times, and but I'm a little vocal compared to the average person. But I would say, I don't agree with this or whatever. Just ask, like, just check, kind of confront them, pull them into a room, obviously do it privately, but have that conversation with that person. If you have that conversation, maybe now you just became teacher's pet with your boss and
Yeah.
you don't know what could come out of it. I know that's a little drastic, but it's just, it does happen.
I think
But
too, like it goes with promotion, when we were talking about promotion and like more money, is when you are in these challenges, I do think upper management probably looks at those, like, how are they handling this? So that's another thing. Like, I think you should be having those tough conversations.
Yeah, especially if you want management. But people are always like, well, they weren't the best performer. They got it. Well, they're able to handle tough conversations, which is a lot of management. And then your employees are constantly complaining to you sometimes, and you're having to deal with that. Like your job is confrontation. I
Yeah.
mean, you've seen it at our company.
Yeah.
Like I've even seen on LinkedIn, people say it's frowned upon if you don't want to be a manager, if you're just happy in your individual contributor role. Now all these things are coming to my head and I'm thinking about it. But what do you think about that one? Would you say that one's true or false?
No, I don't think that's frowned upon. Like, I think, like you said, like it is a lot. I think you see it a lot too, as people get into management and then they're immediately back open to work for individual contributor because it's unfortunately not what they thought it was going to be. I mean, I think it's a lot, and you don't know it until you're in it. And some people thrive in it. Like some people
Oh,
love
yeah.
that, but sometimes it's just not for you.
Yeah, exactly. And we don't, yeah, I don't frown upon it either. Create a personal website or portfolio. I've seen that a few times. It's said that people are saying it makes you stand out and it's kind of giving that more of a umph to your application, I guess.
Yeah, if it wasn't like a marketing role, I don't think it would really make a difference for me. Like, oh, this person has a website. I actually think it might hinder you because if you're going to have a website, it's like this is going to have to look, I mean, it's going to need to look really good, especially if you're
Yeah.
like not a marketing person, you're creating this. I think it's going to be way more nitpicked than just having a resume that's a good resume.
Yeah. I think you're just adding room for error. So, talking salary before the conversation. So, you said that one was true, I think.
Yeah, I think it's important. You're not wasting your time, their time. You're on the same page. I think it sets like the expectations of what you're really looking for. Like, why wait till
Mhm.
the end? I think that can bite you kind of in the foot if you wait till the very end. They'll be like, why didn't we know this beforehand? And they probably won't move forward with you.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of, I know you've said this before too, a lot of candidates won't even talk to you, even on the phone, until they know a salary. Or when you get them on the phone, they're like, I'm not answering any questions until you tell me what the budget of the salary is. What do you think about that?
It's actually really interesting because I don't understand. I don't know why recruiters would lie, right? Like about a salary. If you tell me your salary and you're not within it, I'll be honest. If you tell me a salary and you're really below it, I'm still going to be honest with where this is at. I wouldn't like lie about a salary for no reason. It is also challenging. Like you'll talk to someone and they'll say, "I want 140,000," and you're like, "Sorry, this salary is at 75,000." Oh, that's fine. I'll take that too.
Oh, gosh.
And you're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah. When that happens, I don't know about you, but I don't move forward with them. I'm like, well, unfortunately, I would never want to put you in a position
No.
to make half of what you're wanting to make. And
No.
then, so it will shoot you in the foot if you're like shooting super high. Like it needs to be a realistic ballpark. Like, how would you suggest when we're asking them what their salary expectations are? How do you think they should answer? Because this one's just complicated.
I don't know. I've had a lot of people, like, especially within the last year. I mean, I have had a lot more people, I think, be just pretty straightforward and honest. Like, this is where I'm at. This is what I want to make for a new role or what I would hope to make. I would be open to this salary if like the benefits were XYZ or PTO was XYZ. I just think honesty, honestly. I'm as
Yeah.
honest as I can be, like with the salary. I'm not telling you something random just to talk.
Yeah, I don't get it either. We want to fill our roles. We're not going to fill the role if one, the candidate isn't getting the pay they want. And then two, if the hiring manager isn't getting the talent they want, it's not, the money isn't coming out of our pocket.
I will say though, it is different if you've been, I feel like the salary conversation is definitely different if you've been at the same company for like 5 to 10 years and you're just really not sure where the market's at. And maybe you haven't had promotions or you haven't had raises and you're just genuinely like curious what is this at? That is different. But I also think there's so many tools you can use online to see like what is the salary range for this position. Or similar companies, like what are they paying for this? Because like you said, a lot of companies do post it now. So do your research, I definitely would say beforehand.
Exactly. And then if you want to raise, take that research to your boss. Hey, I've done a lot of research and talked to some agencies because I've been here for a long time. And here's what the market is. And I'm severely underpaid. Here's why I think I deserve more money.
100%.
And if you say why you deserve more money, they're going to take that exact verbiage to their boss if they feel so. And I think that's just the easy way to get what you want kind of thing. If you want to stay in the same job too, more on salary. So the second part of that, don't share your salary expectations at all. I see that all the time. Don't share, don't share.
I mean, why not share? Like, don't you
Yeah.
want to make sure you're on the same page? I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I mean, it is tough. Like, you don't want to undersell yourself, but again, like if you do the research before, you're kind of gonna know the market. I always suggest to people like do it as a total compensation thing. That's what I love to hear. My favorite answer from a candidate, and then I'd love to hear your favorite answer from a candidate when it comes to salary is it's not all about the money.
Mm-hmm.
It is about the culture. It is about work-life balance. It's about benefits. That's important to me. Your 401k. Can you tell me more about that? And total compensation, I'd be looking for this. I'd be looking for this for work-life balance. And because people's priorities are different. Like some people are like, well, I'll take less money for remote. I'll take more money for on-site. So there are variables to it. And we get them. We'll have those conversations with you. And I think that is better. And I think you're more likely to get a recruiter to tell you. There's a lot of companies that offer really great PTO, 401k, and then you just lost opportunity because you didn't want to say a number kind of thing.
No, I would agree. Yeah, 100%. That's also my favorite is when they do say, what is the total package? Or is there like, I want this, maybe like you already had the conversation and there's like 10K off. Like what else can they do? Other than just money? Or what is the culture like? Like to some people, that is way more important than 5, 10K.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. Like people just cut me off on a phone call because it's 20K less than what they wanted. And I'll tell them like, well, if you're the right fit, maybe I can try to push that for
Yeah.
you. It's over budget, but like I can't guarantee you anything. I don't determine the offer. You could get offered less than what we're talking about. You could get offered more, but we have to have this conversation so we don't waste everyone's time moving forward.
I can't tell you how many people I've hung up. Like you say the salary and they're like, that's 30K that I'm less than what I'm making. Click. And then it's like, you just ruined a relationship. I could have a role that's 20,000 over what you're making next week. And now
Yeah,
why would I reach back out to you?
exactly. Exactly.
Happens all the
And
time.
yeah, and we've had people do the interview and they didn't even counter. And then my hiring manager's like, they're
Yes.
perfect. Let's give them 20 grand more. I'm
Mhm.
going to get approved by the CEO. This is a great fit. So if you're really good at your job, I feel like you don't really have to haggle too much, honestly. Like I think you should focus on how you can present yourself in the best light possible. And you're more likely to get that salary than like pushing for it. I don't know. I think the focus is just off. And you can focus on both, but as long as like you're good on the presentation of yourself and your skills, then
Yeah.
the money will come kind of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So a lot of candidates have this question. Why, when a candidate asks you for the budget for the role, especially early on in the
Mhm.
conversation, why don't we want to say it first? Why don't we want to tell them the full budget?
Well, I think sometimes too you say it and it's just like way over what they're making and they're just like, "Yep, that's what I want or that's what I'll take." And sometimes it can be like 40,000 less. I mean, I've seen as high as like 50,000 less. I don't know. I think I sometimes will say it. I just think it
Yeah.
just depends.
Yeah, it depends. When I recruited and I knew that like maybe the salary band we had was a little bit on the lower end, I would just come out and say it.
Yeah.
But if I knew it was a wide salary band, people were really all over the place in that band. I wouldn't want to say it first. It's mainly because for me, it's mainly because I don't want to give that person's hopes up. A salary band for the listeners, because I know that may not mean anything to some of you. Usually, when you have a budget for a role, there's like a lower, a middle, and an upper. And the lower is certain years of experience, say 3 years of experience, associate's degree. Middle is bachelor's degree, 2 years of experience. Upper, master's degree, 5 years of experience, or a bachelor's degree. Like obviously, I'm just throwing this stuff out.
Yeah.
But there's guidelines, and so sometimes when we tell you the band and we don't know all your experience and details, because sometimes it can get really intricate, you can move up to the middle if you have certain skill sets and you can talk to them,
Yeah.
or this really niche technical something that you got that is outside of your years and your education. Like it gets really niche within the band, and then you can bypass certain bands if you come with a different skill set that's not required in the job. It's just a plus. People think bands are just bands and it's just so obvious and it's just black and white and it's just super, 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 super gray.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand that.
No, I think too is like if you're not comfortable saying what you're looking for at the start and you want to know it, give the recruiter 10 to 15 minutes to talk with you, see where you're at. And then they'll have a much better idea on where you're at for that salary band that they're given.
Yeah, we can tell you. If anything you want to add that like listeners maybe looking for work, really struggling to find that next job, any advice you want to give to them?
I would say practice. I think that's so big is just practice. There's one question you can practice is please like tell me a high level overview of your experience and like you said, record it. And if you've noticed you're not talking about your experience or it's quite lengthy, like I just think it's so important to practice that, being able to talk in your experience and then reach out to a recruiter, reach out if you see a job you like, instead of applying to 300, find your top 20 you really want, really focus on a good resume, being able to talk on it, and reach out to the recruiters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I say organize it too, because
Yeah.
sometimes when I call candidates, they're like, wait, who are you again? What's this job for? Sorry, I've applied to
Fill up.
1,000.
Yes.
Keep it organized. It's nicer for a recruiter to know like a candidate actually is seeking out a job they're interested in instead of, again, that's more hashtag desperate. I'm
Yes.
just spray and pray and taking the first job that gives me an offer kind of thing. But yeah, practicing, record yourself. And anyway, I hope this helped you guys feel better, have some clarification on what's good advice, what's bad advice. Again, Sarah and I aren't know it all. Obviously, there's probably some people who had success in things that we haven't seen be successful. So don't want to like hinder anyone from doing things that's worked for them in the past. Obviously, everyone's journey and experience is different in finding their role, getting promoted, all these things. It's just what her and I personally have seen being in the industry and on the other side, which I know a lot of you viewers are interested in. So, hope you enjoyed the show today. If you have any questions, anything, feel free to reach out to myself or Sarah, and happy hunting.